going to be a lesson on igneous rocks. Igneous rocks are rocks that are formed when molten or liquid rock cools and solidifies. And our molten rock can be lava. Lava is liquid rock above ground. Or magma, which is liquid rock below the ground. Now, when we're going to identify igneous rocks, there are two things we're going to look at. We're going to look at their texture and their composition. We're going to start with texture. Texture, what you do is you look at the crystal size. Okay? And there's going to be two options. It's going to be big crystals. Okay? If it has big crystals, that means it cooled slowly. Because crystals take a long time to grow. To cool slowly, that means it had to cool underground. And there are two words that we use if it cooled underground. One is intrusive. It's got the word in it because it's still in the ground, or plutonic. And that comes from the Greek god Pluto was the god of the underworld, so plutonic means the underworld or underground. If it has small crystals or it's glassy, you can't see any crystals at all, that means it cooled fast. Okay, if it's going to cool fast, that means it was above ground. And there are two names for this also. We can call it extrusive. Okay? I think of X as exit. It is exit of the ground, so it's not in the ground anymore. It's out of the ground. Or volcanic. Okay? Because if it came out of a volcano, it's going to be above the ground. Now, sometimes when they get shot out of a volcano, this isn't true of all volcanic rocks, but they can form air pockets. And the name for that, we say it's vesicular. Okay, so that is the texture. We look for big crystals or small crystals, and whether or not it has air pockets. The other thing we look for is the composition. Composition is what it is made out of. All right, and you can tell that by looking at the color. If it's light colored, we know it has the following properties. If it's light colored, we know it's going to be low density. It's going to contain aluminum. And the word for that is felsic. Or it could be dark colored. If it's dark colored, we know it's most likely going to be high density. It's going to contain iron or magnesium. And we call that type of rock mafic, M-A-F-I-C. Now it seems like a lot of words to memorize. We have intrusive, intrusive, extrusive, felsic, mafic, low density, high density, but all of this is on the reference tables. I'm going to skip ahead here. I have the reference tables on the last page here. And on the reference tables, it gives us these words like, intrusive over here. And intrusive is coarse or very coarse. It has these big crystals, right? Extrusive is here. Extrusive is going to have fine. Fine means small crystals or even glassy. So you can get some clues at least to these words by looking at the reference table. It also has felsic. Felsic is over here. Felsic is low density and light colored. Okay, and it has mafic over here. Mafic is high density and darker colored. So while it seems like there's a lot of vocabulary, you can at least get some hints by looking at your reference tables. Now, going back, some examples for this are identify a dark colored rock with air pockets and small crystals. So our hints are it's dark colored, it has air pockets and small crystals. So if it's dark colored, we remember that's mafic. And again, it's on the reference table if you've forgotten that. Air pockets, vesicular. And small crystals are fine, and we know it's an extrusive rock if it has those things true. Then we look at our reference table, and we said one thing about it is it's extrusive. So extrusive is up here, okay? Now it's fine because it has small crystals. It's not glassy, so we don't want to take that. So now I've narrowed it down to being in this range. It also says it has air pockets. It's vesicular, so I know it's in this range. Where they overlap, this fine and vesicular is only in this range. So now I've narrowed it down to these rocks. Vesicular rhyolite, vesicular andesite, or vesicular basalt. Our other thing is it said that it was dark colored. Dark color is over here on the right. Okay, so I know that if it's dark colored, it's going to be toward the right of this chart, so it's going to be in this side over here. And where those two overlap is right here with vesicular basalt. So I know that that one is going to be vesicular basalt. So we're going to identify it as vesicular basalt. Right. Our second one says identify a rock with large crystals and contains a lot of quartz. Those are our two things. Remember, large crystals, it's going to be intrusive. And we haven't really talked about what it contains yet, but it's still on that same reference table. So going back to the reference table, erase what we did before. Okay, and we said that it had large crystals. So large crystals are here, intrusive, right? It's either coarse or very coarse that has large crystals. So now we've narrowed it down to this section here. Okay, and we also said it contains a lot of quartz. And again, we haven't talked about that, but if I look at the reference table, it has quartz here. So if it has a lot of quartz, it has to be in this grouping right here, because these are the ones that have lots of quartz. So my answers could be granite or pegmatite, and either one is actually the right answer. So as we write it in, we could say that it is granite, or we could say it's pegmatite, and either one of those could be the correct answer. So after this lesson, you should know what an igneous rock is, and what intrusive and extrusive mean, and how that's going to affect the size of the crystals, and what felsic and mafic mean. And again, those are terms you should know, but you can always use the reference tables for a hint.